Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very merry edition of Sports Talk Philadelphia. I am your clean-shaven host, Tyler Harper. Thank you very much if you donate to my Movember campaign. And today we're doing things a little differently here on STP. As you can see, we're a little festive here at that, and I'm in the middle. So today we're doing our traditional Naughty and Nice episode. Alongside me are, I guess, my reindeer on this episode. Steve Graham on my right, Anthony Fleet on my left. And we're going to do a Naughty and Nice list, but we're going to put a little twist on it this year. So let's see how this is going to work today. Each person is going to get 1 minute to state their case for each slot. There's 5 minutes for each slot, one naughty for the Naughty and Nice list. And at the end of each person's minute, I'll make the determination of whoever gets that slot based on their best argument. So right away, let's get right to it. So Anthony, we're going to start with the Naughty list, and we're going to start with you. So tell us about who you picked at number 5 for the Naughty list.
Yeah, I picked Alexei Shved of the 76ers. I had to pick somebody from the now 1-17 Philadelphia 76ers.
They won, woo!
Yeah, so I chose Shved. Like, why is this guy even a Sixer? He doesn't really do anything. I guess his best role is just filling a roster spot. He averages a little modest 10.5 points per game, but he only shoots 39.8% from the floor. So it's like,
well, to be fair, not really much people can shoot on that team.
well, yeah, but like I said, I had to choose somebody from this abysmal team, and everybody else is young and they're developing and they have potential. But Shved, he's just like a random guy that came from Minnesota just as a throw-in for a deal. So I put him on my Naughty list.
Hey, he came from Minnesota, who they beat.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. So,
All right, I guess to each his own. Alexei Shved, number 5 on the Naughty list for Anthony Fleet. But Steve, now we turn to you. Who do you have as number 5 on your Naughty list?
Well, we're going to go across the street to Citizens Bank Park and talk about a Phillies closer who did not have the best performance this season.
Oh, boy.
And specifically, we're going to talk about middle September against Miami Marlins, where he gave up 4 runs and got booed off the field. And you got to know when you come to Philadelphia, we have passionate fans. And the boos, consider them constructive criticism. And the gesture you just saw on the graphic there was his lewd gesture.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Back at them. So get out of Philadelphia if you're going to do that. But, you know, his reputation of bad behavior is making that hard to get out of Philadelphia.
Yeah, and not only that, it's funny that that happened because all the time he says, oh, I don't hear the fans. Well, yeah, apparently he does, even though the stadium's been half full the last season. You know what I mean? But, I mean, hey, good choice. Let's see, Papelbon versus Shved. Point goes to Steve. I'm putting Papelbon on the Naughty list, mainly because, I mean, Shved's still new here. He still has a whole season to make an impact.
Right.
So we're going Jonathan Papelbon, number 5 on the Naughty list. Point goes to Steve. Now we move on. We'll start with Steve for number 4 on the Naughty list, a familiar face on the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes, Riley Cooper is my number 4. Specifically, there is a rule not on paper that you do not talk about your teammates' contracts. And he made comments several weeks ago of why Jeremy Maclin has more playing time than him this season. His playing time in the second half of the season has significantly gone down, especially against the Titans. I think he played around 60% of the game. So he referred to Maclin's contract year being the sole reason that he's getting more playing time, while really Maclin is having a career season and Riley Cooper could be doing a bit better. So.
Yes, you mean Riley Cooper, who just got a 5-year contract extension for
exactly.
multi-million dollars. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. And, of course, Riley Cooper, he was doing good because, I mean, of course, he had the whole incident before last year, and then he had a career year. So he was in the clear even though he wasn't doing well, and then this happens.
And you just really shouldn't talk about your teammates that way. They're trying to help you win the game as much as you are. So it's a team effort.
I completely agree. You're in such a great groove. Why would you want to screw that up?
Exactly.
I don't know, but Anthony, we're going to move on to your number 4, and we go back to the Philadelphia Phillies.
yeah, with Miguel Alfredo Gonzalez. When this deal happened, we're like, ooh, we're going international. We're signing these, high market Cuban prospects.
And I believe this deal happened 2 years ago.
Yeah, and he signed for a 3-year, $12 million deal. And he was supposed to be a solid number 3 starter, and everybody was excited. They had high expectations for him to be in the rotation. And he only appeared in 6 games as a reliever, and in those games he was 0-1 with a 6.75 ERA, and he pitched 5 1/3 innings with 5 strikeouts and 3 walks. So there's no glamorous stats coming at you from there in that small portion of the games. And I figured that they didn't even use him in that many games because of his ineffectiveness. And even in the minors, he wasn't overwhelmingly impressive either. Like I looked up his stats, he was just mediocre at best. So it was only year one. He's probably getting adjusted to living in America and all the things that come along with being from a different country and having to ingratiate yourself in a new culture. So I'll give him another year. Like obviously he has 3 years. So hopefully this year he's able to pick things up. But from the first year, he didn't really live up to expectations.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's why Miguel Alfredo Gonzalez is going to go number 4 on this list. Because, I mean, at first he was a starter. Then it was, oh, he can't throw 40 pitches without getting hurt. And then, oh, he's not great in the bullpen.
Right.
Yeah, not a great signing by Ruben Amaro Jr. in that wonderful front office. But now we'll stick with you, number 3, and we're sticking with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, Dominic Brown.
Oof.
Boy, talk about a letdown this year. He was tremendous in 2013, especially in May when he was just white hot, when he hit all those home runs. He had 12 home runs and 25 RBIs in just that 1 month.
He was an all-star.
Yeah, exactly. He made an all-star appearance, but he was a mess in 2014. In 144 games, he only batted .235, and he had 10 home runs and 63 RBIs. So he had 10 home runs in all of 2014, whereas in May of 2013, he had 12 home runs. So that just shows you that huge dip in power and production that he put out there. And just like I said, not even to mention his defense.
You saw in the picture, he was diving and the ball was under him.
Exactly. So everybody knows how poor his defense is. He's probably the worst, if not one of the worst, he's the worst left fielder in all of the major leagues. Like his win above replacement defensively is super low, lower than anybody else's. And it's just been a disappointing year because there was high expectations. Like all these different things for the Phillies to have a successful year had to go right. He was one of them, and he just wasn't able to fulfill those expectations.
Yeah, not only that, but when talks arose of him possibly getting sent down to the minors, the fact that he said, oh, it's okay, it's whatever, if I get sit down, I get sit down. Show some passion.
Exactly.
Act like you want to be here. Act like you've been here before.
Right.
Now we move on to Steve's number 3 on the naughty list. This one's interesting because you were an eyewitness to this occasion.
Yeah, we're going back to week 3 of the Eagles season when they won 37-34, I believe.
Yep.
Got to see the game, and this was the nose tackle of the Redskins, Chris Baker, who gave this legal but I'd say frowned upon hit on Foles. And in the first place, it was his own fault for heading in the direction of the player who intercepted the ball, but this was a hit looking to cause injury on Foles, and it instigated a brawl, and fortunately Jason Peters was there to have Foles' back, but just one of those hits is not what you want to see in the NFL. It's just
Yeah, thankfully the entire team was there to have his back. Because I remember you telling me that even though it didn't really show it too much on TV, the bench cleared once he got hit.
Yeah, benches cleared. They were up against the wall of the stadium throwing punches. So it was wild.
Just a classic NFC East division matchup, if you ask me.
A division rivalry hit for sure.
Yeah, and of course the Redskins are just a frustrated team because, let's face it, they're terrible. So with that being said, Steve's going to get the point. Chris Baker, no matter how you slice it, that was a dirty hit, no questions asked. So now, Steve, we move on to number 2, and a common theme here is another cheap hit on a Philadelphia Eagle.
Yeah, let's talk about cheap shots hits. For my number 2, I'm going to give it to the Cowboys kick returner, Dwayne Harris, who just puts this ugly hit on, Nolan Carroll. And at the end of the game, the closing minutes, and there was actually going to be another punt in the game, which I bet every Eagles fan was hoping it would go to him again. But I think the Eagles aren't going to forget about this hit when they meet again in a few weeks. But this hit was just all Nolan Carroll was trying to do was keep the ball out of the end zone, and Dwayne Harris had a lot of frustration, obviously, and took all of it out on Nolan Carroll. So
yeah, I found this funny, the fact that this was just obviously, like you said, Dwayne Harris being bitter, and then at the end of the game during his press conference, Des Bryant said the Eagles were cheap. I don't know how that makes sense, but
it's the Cowboys. What do you expect?
We'll see them in a couple weeks, and then we'll just beat them on our home field, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah. So we move on now to Anthony Fleet, your number 2 on the naughty list. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but Riley Cooper, number 14 on your Philadelphia Eagles. Take it away.
Yeah, this guy, he always seems to be making headlines for the wrong reasons. And Steve, he already touched on it with the whole Jeremy Maclin contract situation. But just to talk about him in between the lines, he's had a big drop-off in production. He's the number 2 receiver on this team, but he's not really doing anything. And granted, there's a bevy of weapons that quarterbacks can choose from with the running back situations and the tight ends, and as well as Jeremy Maclin having his breakout year. But still, this guy, he's supposed to be a kind of shoe filler for Deshaun Jackson's departure. And he was expected to have that same production as he had last year with his big connections with Nick Foles. But through 12 games this season, he only has 43 receptions and 457 yards and only 1 touchdown. And this guy, he's supposed to be a primary target in the red zone, and he only has 1 touchdown to show for it. And it seems as though whenever they throw a jump ball to him, he's just always getting out-muscled or just out-willed to the ball.
Or he just doesn't catch it. There's
Right,
been a couple
yeah.
that he's alligator arm.
Yeah, especially at the Thanksgiving game where he wasn't even looking at the throw that Sanchez threw him across the middle. Like things like that, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
And you saw in the earlier photo, I made sure to get the picture of Mark Sanchez just hollering at Riley
Yeah.
Cooper because I thought that was great, even though they were out.
And after that game, he wasn't even available for media, so he didn't
Nope.
even want to explain himself.
All right, I'm going to give that point to you because, I mean, Riley Cooper, it's a big deal that he doesn't have that much production. I mean, thank goodness he could block. Otherwise, I don't even know how much of a role he really has
Right.
on this team right now. So point goes to the Fleet. And now for the end of the naughty list, your number 1, Anthony Fleet, you
I'll
go to
give
the
it to-
Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, Vincent Lecavalier. The Flyers right now as a team, they're on a really bad losing streak. They've lost like 10 out of their last 11. So
Yeah,
it's
been a lot.
been a real struggle for them recently. And in the recent game against the Sharks, he was a healthy scratch for the first time in his career. And that's not something that you want for a guy who signed a 5-year, $22.5 million deal.
Yeah, talk about that deal because when this deal came up, like everyone was kind of cautious about it because I mean, yeah, this would have been great for Vinny Lecavalier 5 years ago when
Yeah,
he was still in his
exactly.
prime.
Yeah, I think the Flyers front office, they were just really signing him just off of what he's done, just because of his name. And, you know, he's had a great career. He's a really great player. He won a Stanley Cup in Tampa back in '03. But as you said,
Beating the Philadelphia Flyers to
Yeah.
get there.
yeah, but as you said, it was just, you know, maybe it was 5 years too late because he's getting old now and his production is really showing because he's not really doing anything. He only has 6 points in 16 games that he's played. So, you know, just hopefully he get better, but you never know.
Sounds deserving of a spot on the naughty list. And lastly, for the naughty list, Steve, we go to you with a familiar face to say the least. Take it away.
Yeah, let's go back to a really bad Redskins team. And actually a little Eagles alumni, Deshaun Jackson. I remember late March he was released by the Eagles, and some would like to say it's money issues, but I never saw it as that because why would you release a player like this when most teams filled up their cap space at that time from the free agency? So Chip Kelly obviously had a reputation coming to the Eagles of releasing these kind of players. Back at Oregon, attitude problems. They said they're not good for the younger players. So whatever Deshaun Jackson did, he's on a bad team now, and there's no denying that he's a very talented player and could help us out as a deep threat or deep post, whatever it is. That Mark Sanchez could use him, and it's a shame we had to let him go. But I'm putting him on my naughty list because you made Chip Kelly angry.
Yeah, we know how close you are to Chip Kelly. So,
that's
of
my
course,
boy
if
right
you
there.
if you make Chip Kelly angry, you make Steve Graham angry,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen. But I mean, yeah, I agree with that. And did you see his epic post on Instagram a couple weeks ago that blew up? Well, I'll let you look it up because there's some profanity in it. But it's kind of funny that he sends a message to the Redskins. Maybe he's regretting his decision to sign there. But nevertheless, taking the naughty list 3-2, I'm going with Steve Graham. I mean, Deshaun Jackson. I mean, that's just cream of the crop for the naughty list. I mean, he scored a touchdown in that Eagles game, and he did the bird, so that doesn't sit well. But now let's move on to happier times. It's nice list time here on Sports Talk Philadelphia. And Steve, we're going to start with you for the nice list, and we're going to the Philadelphia Flyers leading scorer.
Yeah, what can we take out of this really bad Flyers team right now? On the positive side, you have Jacob Voracek having a career season, still on track to break Mark Recchi's career point season. He's tied with Crosby in assists and points in the league, and he's basically the only offensive player on this team that is still continuing to make plays. They could be at the very bottom of this talented Metropolitan Division if it wasn't for Jacob Voracek. So I'm putting him on my nice list as being the other one who's given an effort on this team.
Yeah, I agree with that, because even the captain, Claude Giroux, he's still having his struggles, even though they got Michael Raffle back on that top line with Jacob Voracek, and they seem to be hitting a groove again. But even so, Jake Voracek has really been the constant so far for this Flyers team, and I hope that continues, as does everybody else who roots for the orange and black. But now, let's go to Anthony Fleet. You're number 5 on the nice list. Some might say he should be the next closer to the Philadelphia Phillies. Talk about Ken Giles.
Yeah, Ken Giles. If there's one silver lining on the 2014 Phillies, I would say it is him. In 2014, he was 3-1 with a 1.18 ERA and 44 games appeared. He pitched 45 and 2/3 innings. He had 64 strikeouts and only 11 walks. Now, his first appearance wasn't very good, and it was like, oh boy, here we go again with these relievers. But he's really rebounded from that opening start and just took off, just dominating on the mound. He's striking out batters left and right. It was a really great thing to see for him to set up Jonathan Papelbon, who, despite some issues that he has being Jonathan Papelbon, he was pretty good as a closer in 2014. And a lot of it is due to Giles being able to set him up for those save opportunities. So he had a lot of opportunities because Giles was able to hold, the various leads that Phillies would have actually going into the 8th inning.
Yeah, Jake Diekman and Ken Giles were both great 7th and 8th guys for Jonathan Papelbon. And for most of the year, Jonathan Papelbon was on despite earning a spot out on our naughty list. And plus, the great thing about Ken Giles, too, 100-mile-per-hour fastball.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time, you're at the ballpark now and he gets into the game, everyone just stares at the radar gun after every pitch.
I was going to say, he lights up the radar gun, and he made a serious push for Rookie of the Year. I believe he finished,
I think he was 4th in the voting.
Fourth, yeah.
So I'm going to go with Ken Giles as number 5 on our list. I'm excited for the future, and we need something to cheer about for this Phillies team. But Anthony, let's stick with you for number 4. One of Steve's favorite players on the Philadelphia Eagles, the kicker, Cody Parkey. Talk about Cody Parkey.
Cody Parkey, man, he's definitely a huge upgrade over Alex Henry. I couldn't wait for him to get out of town. He couldn't get out of town any faster than he did. He's 27 for 29 on the year, including a perfect 42 for 42 on point-after attempts. He's already proved he had a strong leg. All it took was one kick in the preseason and just be like, all right, you're in. Good job. You kicked it from 50 yards out, which was something Henry really struggled with. So I look for him to be a staple for at least the next decade. He might be able to break some of David Akers' records as being one of the greatest kickers in Eagles history.
Yeah, he's already got that good following. And plus, you mentioned that kick in the preseason. It was really funny. There's a screenshot out there of Alex Henry and Trent Cole's reaction once Parkey hits that field goal. It's priceless if you ever see it.
I'll take a look at that.
We're going to go to Steve now for number 4. Again, trying to stay positive for the Philadelphia Phillies. So why not look at the ace despite the trade rumors? Let's talk about Cole Hamels.
Yeah, what's not to talk about Cole Hamels? He brought this city a World Series. And the thing I take away from him is the class act. This guy wants to win baseball games. And his contract is up in the air. Phillies are thinking about trading him. But during the winter meetings, he was talking about if it doesn't work out, if it's not the right trade, then I'll stay in Philadelphia and I'll compete here. So I think that speaks a lot about this kind of guy, is that he wants to win wherever he is, and he'll go to another team if the trade is there. But if it's not, he's more than happy to stay in Philadelphia and compete.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting with Cole Hamels. He says he's willing to go, but it's not like get me out of here. I'm sick of this situation. It's I want to win, and I want to win here. But if that's not going to be the case, then I'll more than happily go.
Yeah, I'm sure he wants it to be that he can win here. He wants to put a team together here, but the front office right now, it doesn't look like it's going to be that way for a long time.
Yeah, but good argument there, but I'm going to go with Cody Parkey. So Fleet with 2 in a row just because he's been very solid for that Eagles team right now. But let's see if Steve can make a comeback on the nice list. Go to number 3, an interesting pick. You're talking about the Sixers fans, or what's left of them.
A loyal sports fan is a rare breed, and I'm going to give it to the loyal Sixers fans. There's not much to cheer for, except last night. They got their win against the Timberwolves, so that was basically their parade probably for the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially a shout out to my roommate Tommy. Whenever he can, we're all busy students here, but he'll watch a game when he can. A loyal Sixers fan there, so I got to give it to. If you stay on the bandwagon with the Sixers, even when they're bad, eventually they're going to be good, and it's going to feel that much better.
Shout out to you, Tommy, from your roommate. All right, now we move on to Anthony Fleet for number 3, sticking with the Sixers.
Yeah.
KJ McDaniels, the rookie.
Yeah, and we all know that the Sixers, they stink, obviously, and they're probably going to lose more regular season games than any team ever in NBA history. But McDaniels, talk about another silver lining, he's been pretty good. He's making flashy highlights every night. You see him either dunk on somebody, having a big putback dunk on somebody, or just having a huge block where he's blocking shots 4 rows into the stands. So it's every night, even most of the time the Sixers are going to be losing, he's out there making plays, and he's out there trying to make a name for himself. He's had a little bit of a publicity problem with his mom trying to
No comment.
Yeah, trying to argue for his defense. But ever since then, every time he's on the floor, he's competing hard as he can. So I look forward to watching him, and hopefully he could remain on the Sixers for the future.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I'm going to go with Steve, the loyal fan base. You won me over with that argument, even though the stadium's half empty every night. Now we move on to number 2 on the nice list, Anthony Fleet. We talked about him a little bit, so just a quick spiel here, but Jake Voracek, leading scorer for the Flyers.
Yeah, other than Giroux being a star on the team, nobody on the Flyers is really has elite NHL talent. Now, they have other good, solid players, but as far as being an elite talent in the league, Jake Voracek is definitely one of those players that you would consider of being. He has great strength, skating ability, and he can score the puck. He's always setting up guys with assists, as Steve mentioned. He's tied with Crosby for the most assists in the league, so that's outstanding play by him. And he needs to keep it up if the Flyers want any chance of succeeding this season, so hopefully he can.
Yeah, I agree with that. And now we're going to go to Steve for number 2 on the nice list. Going with the Sanchez, Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, I've yet to trace back this statement, but someone said the 2 hardest jobs in the city of Philadelphia are quarterbacking the Eagles and the Flyers goalie.
I say that a lot, but I don't know who said it first.
Yeah,
but go on.
Mark Sanchez has one of these jobs. And as a backup quarterback, your job is to go in there and win games. He's won 4 of the last 5. Nobody expected him to beat the Packers. Sorry, that's the sad truth. But so far, he's been playing really well, I think. When Nick Foles comes in, it's a different story, whether he deserves to have Sanchez start or not. But as of right now, Mark Sanchez deserves to be on the list. He did really well against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. He's completing passes in stride, and he just looks great now. He's doing his job as an Eagle.
Yeah, I agree with that. And for that, you're making the comeback because I'm putting Sanchez on the list because I think he should have had the gobbler Thanksgiving Day. Shady had a good game, but I'm going to go with Sanchez. And now, again, we're at the final spot on the nice list. It comes down to the wire. Steve, you got the Eagles defensive line who's looked very well this season.
Yes. Anytime an NFL team runs a 3-4 defense, you're not going to talk about the defensive line a lot because there's not enough pressure there for them to get an opportunity to get their numbers up. However, this trio of Fletcher Cox, Benny Logan, and Cedric Thornton are putting up really good numbers. It's a surprise, but they're sitting above average in run defense in this league. They just shut down the best running back in the league. They shut down arguably a really good offensive line. They got right through them, no problem. So I'm giving this defensive line, they're playing well. They have another challenge, a similar running back this upcoming week against Marshawn Lynch. But they're playing the kind of football they need to approach in this game.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And Connor Barwin got honored, just got NFC Defensive Player of the Month, so kudos to him. But now, Fleet, we go to you. We go to the head coach himself, Mr. Charles Kelly. Take it away.
Yeah, like you could really give it to the Eagles as a whole, but it starts with the head coach. And Chip Kelly, he's been great ever since he got here. He's now 19-9 in the regular season, and he's only getting better. Everybody talks about him, you know, what a great innovator he is and things like that. And with this fast-paced offense, it's just nothing but good in the future as long as he gets his guys and are able to stay healthy. He's completely rejuvenated not only the Eagles franchise, but also the city of Philadelphia as a whole. All the other Phillies franchises seem to be struggling at this point. So we really have the Eagles to focus on, and hopefully they just can continue their success and only get better.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That's why Chip Kelly is getting the #1 spot. Anthony Fleet wins the nice list, but Steve has the naughty list. So I think it's an interesting comparison there. But I just love that Chip Kelly said, you know, if Florida calls about the head coaching job, even though they already filled the vacancy this week, if they call about the head coaching job, I'll answer and then I'll hang up. So kudos to Chip Kelly. But with that, now we go to our Christmas-themed Fast Five here. We start to my right, Steve Graham. Your favorite Christmas song?
All I Want for Christmas Is You
by Mariah Carey.
That's an awesome song.
Yeah, it's so catchy.
Anthony Fleet, your favorite Christmas movie? Or just a good movie that pops into your head?
Well, the first thing I thought of was Elf. It was pretty funny.
Elf is classic with Will Ferrell.
Hilarious.
All right, Steve, eggnog or hot chocolate?
Non-alcoholic eggnog because I'm underage.
Well, yeah, obviously. I think that goes without saying here. Anyway, Anthony Fleet, and this one, just, again, quick thinking on your feet. One of the best gifts you've ever given someone, because Christmas really is a giving season.
Wow, that's a really, wow. I give a lot of gifts every year to my friends. I would say, I don't know.
Sorry for the tough question.
Yeah, that is tough. I don't want anybody to get mad at me for leaving them out, but I
You're
guess.
just a giving guy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough thing to call.
You know what? For that, I think that's a fair answer. I'm sure you're a very generous guy. And lastly, Steve, your favorite Christmas TV special? Like I said, like Rudolph or Year Without a Santa Claus. What do you got?
Yeah, Year Without a Santa Claus. That's
You
great.
like the Heat Miser and the Snow Miser?
Yeah, I'm a big Heat Miser guy. I like his hairdo.
Speaking of heat, it's kind of hot in
It
the
is hot
Santa
in
hat right now. But I'm kind of glad that I'm not wearing one of the reindeer masks. Anyway, no. But thank you for letting me borrow the hat, by the way.
No problem.
But so that does it for our Fast Five. So be sure to check us out on social media. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/SportsTalkPhiladelphia. Twitter, you can contact LaSalle TV during the winter break at LaSalle TV Philly. For email, lasalletv@lasalle.edu. We're on YouTube. All full episodes are on YouTube. youtube.com/LaSalle56TV and lasalle.edu/LaSalle TV for the web. Remember to never stop exploring. So thank you for sticking with us for this semester. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you guys agreed. And I would just like to wish everyone out there a very happy holiday season. Whatever you may celebrate, enjoy the time with your family and your loved ones. It really is a good time of year. So that does it for us for a month here on STP. But when we come back, we'll have just as much fun and excitement here before when we get back in January. Do you guys have any New Year's resolutions before we go?
I really want to learn how to cook. I'm terrible in the kitchen with culinary skills. So hopefully I could try. That was actually my last year's resolution. It didn't really get resolved. So I'll try again for 2015.
Why not? And Steve, anything? An Eagles
As
Super Bowl?
as of right now, I do not have a resolution. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's all right. It just means you can't break it like most people.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I'm gonna
like
stick
me.
with Fleet and learning how to cook. I may try that, but it's only a month, and honestly, I'm probably gonna get really lazy.
Exactly.
But nevertheless, again, we wish you all a very happy holiday season. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of fun here. And for all of us here at STP, I'm Tyler Harper. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you next month. Have a happy holiday season.